Hello, everyone. I've recently got a request to start making educational content as well. So I realized that probably most of my audience is in the beginner level of chess. And I personally believe that the most important thing you should do as a beginner is play lots of chess games, gain a lot of experience playing the game, while also doing a lot of chess tactics which will really help build up that pattern recognition that you can start using in your games. So I think if you play a lot of games and do a lot of tactics, you will automatically start to see some improvement in your chess. In this video, I would like to go through some of the most basic chess tactics that all players should know. And if you don't know these already, really learning them and being able to apply them will be very essential to you, towards your chess improvement. So I haven't played through these tactics before, but you can just find them on leechess.org/practice. I think working through all of these exercises is very helpful and will definitely help you improve as a chess player. But today we'll just be focusing on the basic tactics section. I personally haven't worked through these yet, but let's just see. In this position, it looks like we can pin the knight to the king, and it seems like we can just win this knight.
Check.
And yeah, so in this position, we can notice that the rook and the king are on the same line. So the bishop can come here. And notice that the rook wasn't able to move, because if the rook moved anywhere, the king would come under danger. And then, yeah, the rook can't move because the king would come in danger. So the rook is just stuck there, and we can just grab it.
Check.
So in this position, it's quite similar. The rook and the queen are on the same line, and we can just notice if we put our bishop here, the rook can't move because the queen would be hanging. Here we see that our king and knight are on the same line. The knight is already pinned. However, the knight is guarded, so we can't just take it. So now what you want to notice is that since this knight is pinned, it can't move, which means if we apply more attack on it, it won't be able to move away. It'll have to be defended. So if we play f4 here, the knight can't move away, and now we can just take it. So what this position is highlighting is this pawn is pinned to the king. And one thing to note is that um, pinned pieces are very bad defenders. So if I take this knight here, the pawn cannot recapture because the king will come under danger. So the knight is just taken. So this position is a little more tricky, but I think it's like a similar concept. So this knight is pinned to the rook, and if the knight moves like there, we can just take. So the knight is pinned, and it can't really defend this pawn well because pin pieces are bad defenders. So I think the right move is just to take here, and we win a pawn. So this position, it's same concept. The pawn is pinned. It's a bad defender of this pawn, and we just take.
Check. Check.
We can notice that the queen is on the same line as this queen and this king. So this queen is quite a bad defender. And if we take this pawn here, our queen is still pinning this queen to the king. So the queen can't
Check.
recapture like that. Now this pawn is pinned to the king this way. So the pawn is not a good defender of this square here. So the rook can just go there, and the pawn cannot capture because it is pinned to the king. And now notice that this creates a pin to the king and the queen. So the queen could not capture our queen either because the queen is just like pinned to the king. and the queen could only capture there, and now we just captured. And yeah, we have finished that puzzle. So now we're going to skewers. Um, we see that skewers are just basically just the opposite of forks. So the piece that is of more value is in front, and the piece that is less value is behind. So now here we can just play bishop f3, and once the queen moves, we just take with the rook. Similar position, the queen is eyeing the queen and the rook. So we can just play rook d2, and if the queen took, we just take, and we just want a rook. So queen can't really. Okay, so in this position, we can see that if our bishop plays there, it's attacking their bishop and their rook, but their bishop can just take our bishop, so we're not winning anything. But what we can do is first we can take here, and now we can play bishop here, and now we set up the skewer. So when the queen moves, we just take the bishop, and overall we won a bishop if you got the material. So in this position, it's just pretty basic skewer, I think. So bishop d
check,
check when the king moves.
check,
So this is a more complex version of the same idea, but this is kind of like an attraction. So if the queen moves there, the king can just move, and the queen is guarded. So what we do is we first make this skewer, lure the king
check,
into the skewer, and now we play here. Now
check,
when the king moves, it cannot defend the queen. What is this? This one's tricky. Let me think. Oh, I see it. So this one's kind of tricky, but basically what white can do is white can force the king and the queen on the same file. So what white takes, queen takes f7 check,
check,
and now when the queen takes, we can go rook a7, and when the king
check,
moves, we can just take the queen, and overall we won this important f7 pawn. That like this pawn
check,
movement
check,
overall. So this one's a bit of a sequence, but we start by going queen h6 check.
check,
And now we play queen g7 check, with the idea is that if the king takes here,
check,
we force the king into the skewer, and once the queen lands there, we can see that it's attacking the king, but when the king moves, we can take their queen.
check,
So the queen is hanging. Oh, this one's a nice one. Yeah, this one's pretty beautiful. So basically, white plays rook a8. Okay, so if the queen captures the rook, then we have bishop f3 check, and when the king moves, we take the queen. So the queen cannot capture the rook because it allows us to play the bishop here
check,
and take the queen. And one thing that I saw was interesting is that this queen has no squares it can go to. Let's just look at white. So if we move this to analysis board, we can see that If queen h7 here, there's bishop g6. And the queen has no squares, so the queen has to take our bishop. And then we have rook a6 check, and we have the skewer. And if queen e6, we have rook a6 check. If queen d5, we have bishop f3. Now we're pinning the queen to the king, so the queen's lost. If queen c4, we have rook c8 check. I know this might be hard to visualize, but bear with me. And the last square is if queen a2, we can take rook takes a4. If queen takes a4, there's bishop e8. So the queen, like we said, all the other squares are the same. So the only thing the queen can do is go back to g8. And now the rook goes back to a8. So it's the same position as this position, just without this pawn. So now from there, the queen cannot go back to a2 because if you imagine this position without the a4 pawn, if queen a2 is played, just rook takes a2. And all the other squares are the same. The queen is lost. So the queen is essentially trapped in this position. So it's a very beautiful exercise. Now, if we go to the fork, this one has a lot. Um, so basically, a fork is when we move a piece to a square and it's attacking both the king and the queen, and only one of those pieces can be
check,
saved. So here we lure the black's king into the fork,
check,
finish 8. Black is forced to capture, and then knight takes f7.
check,
Both the king and the queen are forked. Here, this is a simple pawn fork where the pawn attacks both the minors, and I think any move is fine here. We can just. This is a similar position. Pawn just forks the two minors. Here, the rook forks the king and the
check,
bishop, and comes lost. The bishop's lost. The rook and the
check,
king are forked, and take that. Here, the king and the
check,
rook are forked because like this, and then we just take the rook. So this is like kind of another fork, but we play our knight to d5. Now notice that the rook is attacked, but also the square is attacked. And now what we can do is we can play our knight to c7 check,
check,
and this causes a fork. So it's kind of two forks in a way. Here, knight h6 is a fork because queen f7 is threatening mate, and the knight is threatening there. So it's like a double attack. There's two threats. So plays queen c4. Note that if pawn takes h6, bishop takes h6 is a checkmate. So that's the reason that this works. And now we can just capture this. This is similar to the, I think, second fork position. So we just play our queen to g1, lure the king
check,
into the fork,
check,
and the knight fork. Let's see. So I think we go knight d6 check first here.
check,
This is a little bit of a sequence. Rook a8, forcing
check,
into the fork, and now we have knight f5,
check,
looking in the rook.
check,
Um, let's see. I think it's I think it's knight g3 with the idea that you're attacking the rook this way, but you're also opening up the queen, so this bishop is hanging. I think that's it. Oh, I guess not. Wait, so queen g5.
check,
So we do win the exchange here, but since white is already up like a ton of material in the initial position, like white is up a full rook, just winning this amount of material doesn't really help black. So apparently f3 is the correct move here. Um, And then I guess we can go knight g4 check,
check,
and knight takes h6. Or, oh wait, knight g3. This is an interesting exercise. Quite difficult, actually. Maybe knight.
check,
Oh, I see. So knight g3,
check,
rook takes, and then knight f2 check, blocking the
check,
king and the queen. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get that. Sorry about that. So here we can just go queen g5 check.
check,
And now when we take this pawn, we're attacking both the king like this, and we're attacking the rook too.
check,
So we just take the rook.
check,
This position, let's go. I think it's gonna be queen e6. This one's a tough one, but basically you're attacking both the pawn and the rook. And then if queen e6, rook takes e6, you have rook d1 check. So he didn't play that, but if rook takes e6, you have rook d1 check. And then if king h2, you have rook h1, which is actually checkmate. So not the simplest puzzle, but it's okay. It's how we improve. Hmm. Knight takes f4, maybe. Yeah, not sure about this one either. Okay, so it was knight takes f4. This one doesn't really win material, but basically black is able to exchange his bad knight for white's good bishop here. So we play g5, forking the 2. We win the minor back, and positionally it was a good improvement for black. Don't really worry too much about that position, but yeah. So in this position, white can take rook takes
check,
check, forcing the rook into the fork.
check,
And if you count them
check,
overall, white won a pawn through that sequence. So we're done with fork. So in this one, we're doing double attack. So a piece uncovers itself, and when we play knight e5 check,
check,
we're creating a threat on the king, but also opening up our rook. So the king has to move, and we can.
check,
So same position,
check,
or no, that was different, I guess. So pawn d6, attacking the rook and this rook. So just we can go knight g6 check here,
check,
um, opening this up and like that. So now knight takes.
check,
You play knight g4 check, knight g4 because opens up the bishop like this, but also creates the threat of queen takes h2. Or apparently that's wrong.
check,
Well, this is still completely winning for black, but maybe there was another way to win. Let's see. So knight g4 is winning, but there's a move that's more winning. Hmm. Okay, so it's knight takes e4 with the same idea, but if bishop takes g7, there's queen c5 check, and if the king moves to h1, knight g3 is mate. Again, this just like um, look at the overall idea of like opening up the bishop, but you don't need to be too worried about like the
check,
details. So first of all, note that rook takes e5 loses to rook g1 check because the king has nowhere to move, and bishop f1, rook b1, rook takes, and then it's just mate. So that does not work. What does work, I think, is rook to d7 check.
check,
Now we go, I think, rook f7 check because basically we're opening up our bishop to the king, and we're also creating a
check,
threat to take this. So he takes our bishop to get out of the check, and we can just take the rook. This is a little tougher, but we have knight to d5 with the idea that if black takes our rook like this, well, first of all, we're creating a threat to take black's rook. But if black takes our rook, our second threat is knight to e7, which is actually going to be checkmate. So black takes our pawn like this, but because knight e7, now king g5, well, we can just take. This is a beautiful one. So we play queen h7 check to
check,
lure black's king into this discovered attack. Now we go here.
check,
There's it's a double check, so the king has to move, and now knight f7.
check,
This one is bishop f4 because we're creating a threat on white's queen this way and a threat on the bishop this way. And now let's
check,
take the bishop. Take like this, I assume, or okay. Um, Here we can just go. Oh wow, this is funny. So we go queen e8 check,
check,
and now notice that the rook is has a line with the king. So we go d8 queen. Well, note that if we took the rook, then the king just takes, and we're losing. But we go d8 queen,
check,
and now the queen is hanging, black's queen, while there's a check. So black has to block with the queen if he doesn't want to lose his queen. If he went if he went king e6 here to protect the queen, we can just take this way and white has won a rook. So he goes there and
check,
yeah, ruin the queen. I think the last one we will do today is double check. So this is a variation of double attack, but if you see we're still opening up another piece, but this piece is the piece that we're moving is also going to give check. I believe we saw a few examples of that in the last one, but
check,
yeah.
check,
So this is going to be queen h1 to lure the king
check,
into the thing, and then it's going to be the same as the
check,
last one. So this is like a
check,
typical checkmate pattern to remember. This is also very common. So we again just lure the queen in.
check,
We lure the king into the line, and then bishop a5 check. So you see the double
check,
check, and when a double check is created, the king is always forced to move. Like they can't play b6 because this is also check, and so they can't play b6 because this rook still has a check, and they can't play knight d7 because this bishop also has a check. So they have to move the king, or they also can't take this way because the rook is creating a check. So now we can play
check,
checkmate. This is just a glorified version of the previous view. We first take the pawn here, I believe there's multiple ways to do move orders, but we can take the pawn here.
check,
Oh, my bad, guys. Didn't realize that was hot. So we have to switch up the move order. First, we go queen to d8 check to eliminate this pawn, so we can create something like that.
check,
Now we
check,
now that the pawn is gone, we can just create our double check, which happens to be checkmate
check,
because the king cannot move. Or let's just do
check,
that. So
check,
the king cannot move, so because of the bishop, so it is check.
check,
This one we can play here, or yeah, so we can play here, I think. Well, let's find the mate. So there, there, uh, hmm, interesting. Okay. I feel like so I'm sure the first move is rook f2 check. It creates a double check on the king, so the king has to move. The king goes to g1, queen h2 is mate. So king takes h3. Now I'm thinking there's a mate somewhere, but oh, so I found a mate. I'm not sure if it's mate in 4, but we can play rook f2 check.
check,
And then I believe it's queen h2. Wait, did I say? No, 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 it's rook h2.
check,
Then queen h5. Don't worry too much about this part. Just you can just think about like rook f2, the idea of creating a double check. But, so now I think queen h5,
check,
rook f6.
check, check, check,
Yeah, and then this is
check,
mate. Okay, next one. Yeah, there was probably a faster mate there, but doesn't really matter. A mate is a mate. So we just take here.
check,
If king to f8, then bishop h6 is checkmate. So the king moves here, and notice that it's in the line of the bishop for that. So we go here to cut off the
check,
king's escape. So a piece is to block because the king has nowhere to run to. I think just bishop g5 check because again the king has nowhere to run, so the queen has to block.
check,
And now we just take here
check,
and we take the queen. Or no, there's a better move. Or wait, surely bishop takes e7 is fine. Ah, I see. So the point is that you can take bishop takes b5 check on the first move,
check,
or no? And now I'm confused.
check,
Yeah, so bishop takes b5, knight c6. That's whatever. E takes
check,
f7 wins, so it's okay. So so if he goes king d7, so it played a different move than last time, but not really sure what's going on. Let's just so bishop f5 check is a double check, forcing the king. I think here we can go bishop
check,
here, probably. So I think we'll go bishop e4. Knight d5 is forced because the king had nowhere to
check,
move. I assume we just take strange position, but okay.
check,
I think maybe we can snap up the rook.
check,
And I think like we there's probably a better move, but if you just promote here rook takes. We have two rooks and two bishops for a queen. If you count material, that's gonna be like 16-9. So you can just see that white is completely winning here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot. And if you did watch the entire video, I commend you. It's been over 30 minutes, but I'm sure that you have probably understood a lot more about chess patterns, and I hope you improved from watching this video.